Hi guys, David Angelini here, just looking to thank you for listening to our Insight Debate podcasts. As we push into the summer, we hope to be launching some of our NFL content, and also we'll be hoping to provide some cover of the NBA playoffs to go alongside our core television and movie content. Stay tuned and let us know what you think of our guest appearances from around the globe and our key contributors as we drive on to provide more podcast and written content. Enjoy. Hi there, this is David Angelini from Insight Debate, and I'm here with Ryan Docherty to talk about the second round of the NBA playoffs. How have you been doing this week, mate?
Yeah, been alright. Glad it's now the 3-day weekend that we've got up here, so
Yeah,
looking forward to a Monday holiday.
I've got a Monday holiday as well. You guys have jumped into exam period as well. Does that lighten your
We
load?
have, where it kind of does, but realistically not really, because then we've got all this development work we have to do and preparing for our upcoming inspection at some point in the next 6 months or something like that as well, so
Alright,
great.
busy.
Absolutely great.
I've been reading so much this week that my eyes have been like on the verge of bleeding every single day, just reading contracts. But I'm enjoying my new job. It's really
good.
interesting. Lots and lots of fun. Interesting subject matter. But yeah, and I'm catching up with all this reading, but which is heavy going at the moment. But I'll get there. Yeah. So, before we start, actually, we'll start off with the Eastern Conference. But I have to say, like off the top, that this is maybe one of the most interesting first rounds of a playoffs that I remember in like 10 years or something. I thought it's been
Interesting for what, the Cavs? For
No,
LeBron?
no, not
For Larry Bird going
but
down?
there's only been two sweeps. There's only been like one sweep in each conference, and actually,
Yeah, it's true.
it's been far less predictable than I thought it was going to be. So
Yeah, I think a lot of the higher seed teams have made it harder work than it's actually should have been.
yeah,
Especially in the case of Boston. Like, Boston really surprised, I think, everyone with their lack of 3-point shots, their lack of assists, a lot of really poor series from a lot of their big hitters.
yeah,
You know when you the fourth rebounding person on your team is your 5'9" point guard. You're never in for a good matchup.
yes. If we go Washington and Boston first, is that first round matchup? We'll kind of work backwards and then project forwards, right? So you're talking about Celtics and the Bulls. There was a point there where they were in very, very real danger of losing that series. Is it both opening games on their home court that they lost?
Yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
It didn't even seem like they were. I mean, they were in the contest, but in all real honesty, I think everyone knew that they weren't actually in the contest, because every time a shot went up, you were like, right, so who's going to get the offensive rebound now? Oh, it's going to be Brook Lopez.
I know.
Not Robin Lopez.
Robin,
or Dwayne Wade or Jimmy Butler. That means second chance point. They were getting out rebounded left, right, and center, and just getting cut wide open. And that's what I was kind of talking about in our first kind of round preview. That whenever they're coming against a 3-point shooting team and they're going to be getting out rebounded, that's when they're really going to struggle. And the Bulls aren't a 3-point shooting team. They were just bang kind of average from 3-point. Apart from Mirotic did have a hot spell in one of the games, but that was pretty much it. But it just meant that every time a shot went up, you just kind of knew that they weren't going to either get the rebound or they weren't even going to be clued on to who was their guy.
Yeah.
It was pretty scary for a Boston fan anyway.
Yeah. So obviously the tragedy that has befallen Isaiah Thomas's family with his sister getting killed shortly before that series began, I think that had a really visible hangover on the team for the first, and you'd expect it to. You understand why.
Yeah.
So I think that contributes big time to how that team is feeling to start with, and also, the Bulls came out and played two absolutely crazy games that you've never seen from them at all this season. Like absolutely, like broke all expectations of what you would have from them. It looked like a totally different team. Like you're saying, Robin Lopez looked like an absolute beast, an absolute monster.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade kind of came back to life, and Rondo. Wow, I mean, what the fuck was that? Where has he been keeping that?
Rondo wants to be a starting point guard again, so
I mean, is it
what
like
better time to showcase your abilities in the playoffs?
does he just not care about the regular season, or did he just not care in general, but really wanted to like fuck up Boston? Is that kind of like a Rondo revenge tour?
I don't know. I think he's got like some kind of weird kind of sickness where he has like 8 or 9 games where he's just totally in the wilderness, and then he just realizes himself, wait a minute, I'm Rajon Rondo. I used to be amazing getting triple doubles and splitting defenses left, right, and center.
Yeah,
I can do that. Ooh,
I mean,
let's go and do that.
his body's obviously broken down. He's not been the same player since his his ACL. His body's breaking down, but you see in that series that he's still a really, really intelligent player, and it's because I think it's to do with the fact that it's Boston as a matchup as well. He was on that like a Brad Stevens team for, was it like 18 months or something, year and a half, season and a half. He knew the plays, he knew what they like to do, he knew the routines. He was jumping, passing lanes left, right, and centre, and had like was suddenly, had them figured out, knew what they were doing. And suddenly was playing this like outstanding defense, and just kind of like came back to life. I was absolutely stunned by it because I'm not a Rondo fan at all.
I mean, I see when he went to the Kings. When he went to the Kings, he had those kind of games as well. It was just that they were so few and far between. No one really took any notice of it, and I think that's what Rondo is going to be now. It just seems like he can give you some maybe about 5 or 6 amazing games in a playoffs, but you just don't know when they're going to come.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna have that over a whole season, it's going to translate to maybe 20 games where he's going to look absolutely incredible, and then the other 62 he's going to look absolutely pathetic, and you're going to be like, why am I actually using this guy as a point guard?
Mm-hmm.
So I really kind of feel for Chicago, and they could have. I think that if Rondo would have stayed healthy, they could have easily swept aside the Celtics, and that would have been. I think it actually would have been a sweep if Rondo would have stayed healthy, and they were like at full strength. It just didn't turn out that way for them, obviously. But
I think Boston got into their groove as well. Isaiah Thomas, started to. I don't want to. They kind of came together. I don't know. I don't want to say got over the grief, because obviously it's still a very recent event. They wouldn't have gotten over it, but he got his head back in the game, and and the team was able to recover. But it was a close one for them. It kind of makes me wonder about before the playoffs. We're talking about how the Celtics and the Raptors are going to pose the biggest challenge to Cleveland and potentially could upset them. I don't know. I don't see that from either of those teams at this moment in time.
No, definitely not. I mean, I thought that the Celtics would go a long way at pushing the Wizards in this matchup, but given the way that they started that series against the Bulls, and the Bulls had only just got Dwayne Wade back. We all know their real weaknesses is the 3-point shot, and the fact that they really don't have like a backup point. So when you're looking at that, you really should be exploiting that a lot more, especially when you've got an all-star point guard in Isaiah Thomas, and just the fact that you were the number 1 seed, you've got to be going into the playoffs on a high. You couldn't. There would be no reason in their minds to think that, we're playing against Bulls who only just got into this playoffs. Brad Stevens would have had them, nailed down and been saying, this is going to be a really hard matchup for us guys. We need to watch all this tape. We need to be making sure we're boxing out our man, getting all these plays nailed down, and it just didn't look like it was ever going to happen for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was sure that Brad Stevens is a good coach.
Yeah, I definitely I agree. I think Brad Stevens is a great coach. I just think that.
Is he a good playoff coach though? Is he good at getting the most out of his team in the regular season, and then does he maximise his team's potential in the regular season, and then they don't have another gear come playoff time? because that seems to be consistent with what we've seen from Brad Stevens' coach team in the past few years. Like they overperform, they over kind of do it in the regular season, and then they don't. There's nowhere for them to go because they've been playing at their ceiling.
Yeah, I don't know if we can say that about Brad Stevens, because he is quite a young coach, and this is only his only team, and they are quite a young team.
Mm-hmm.
So until we see him with a kind of not a more well-rounded roster, just a more experienced roster, and a roster that has maybe someone else other than one guy that they have to go to. Because I'm gonna say that Horford, although I was slating him beforehand, he had a great series to bring them back, but he's not gonna get you past the Wizards. I just don't see it happening. I don't even think if this was switched and they had to play the Raptors, I think they would actually have a harder matchup against the Raptors than they would against the Wizards, because the Raptors are a better rebounding team and they're all taller. So it's not whatever way you kind of slice it. It's I don't think we can kind of slate Stevens on the limited amount that we've seen him in the playoffs just yet, until we see him with a more a different kind of lineup per se. Yeah.
And if we switch on to the other side of this bracket with the Wizards, they had the Hawks. The Hawks who also put up a bit more of a fight than you were expecting them to. Schroeder, absolutely outstanding series. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
It's like I remember when he was drafted, his NBA comparison was Rondo. Interestingly enough, and I've not seen that in. How long has it been? Like 3 or 4 years. I've not seen that at all until this playoff series. You know what you're going to get. He's a absolute hornet on defense. Like really bothers anyone who he's having to play against. But that was just a whole other level, a whole other side to him in that series there. I don't want to talk too much about the Hawks because I mean, what is there to say?
It's just I like, you can kind of see that when they were going against the Wizards, it was almost like David and Goliath, when you've got basically Schroeder against the whole team, Schroeder looking for a pass and just not being able to find anyone really, and that was just kind of the downfall of the Hawks. Whenever they were in the regular season, there was moments in their season where they could drive into the paint, dish out, and they'd hit reliable threes. That just wasn't happening for them in the playoffs. And the backup that they had for Schroeder coming off of Bazemore and Calderon running the point just really didn't work. When you've got Jose Calderon on your playoff roster at his age, you just know that's not going to be a good point guard matchup, especially against John Wall, or even when John Wall stepped off the court, Bradley Beal takes over the point guard spot. It was interesting to watch, but it was also like, at times it was almost car crash TV. You're like, ooh, this looks horrible.
Yeah, man. I'll fess up. I didn't watch any game in this series. Just was not interested at all in watching.
Yeah, I mean, I watched 3 of the games and decided once the Wiz went 2-0 up, I was like, is there really any point of watching any of these games? And then it got interesting again, so I did start flicking back and forward while all the games were on, just during breaks and stuff like that. But other than the kind of the matchups that we knew were going to happen, Wall against Schroeder and stuff like that, there wasn't really that much entertaining action. I've just got a couple of stats here. I mean, very efficient use of the ball and stuff from Jennings. Jennings had a really good series when he was taking over the point.
I think Jennings is a good pickup for them. I thought that was a good trade.
He didn't have the best kind of start to life as a Wizard, and like as I was saying,
is there a poor season? I just like these players who go and play with Melo. I don't know. It just kind of seems to sap all their energy out of them and just absolutely drain them. Because a player that needs a bit more usage, like Brandon Jennings, just has no chance. J.R. Smith's another one. J.R. Smith can't play with Melo. That's crazy. Yeah. There's not enough basketballs on the team, so I like, it's so difficult to say to kind of project Brandon Jennings' trade value because of that. So I thought this was a great pickup, and they managed to get him like pretty, on on the cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, just on the back of that, I mean, from the series, I mean, both teams were shooting pretty well. Not that there wasn't a lot of defense being played, but I mean, one thing to note from that series was Bradley Beal didn't really get going, so there would be a lot more to come from him in the second round match. I'm guaranteed.
Yeah, they've got another gear. So yeah, I thinking about how the Celtics and the Wizards match up. Like, I don't know from a defensive standpoint for the Celtics how they are going to cope with Wall and Beal, because they always have to hide Isaiah Thomas on defense. So, and Avery Bradley's the guy that steps up and takes on the the athletic guard, or takes on the perimeter defensive challenge. He's got Wall and Beal. Like, I don't know where they hide Isaiah Thomas, like when they're matching up with the Wizards.
Obviously on Marcin Gortat. Simple.
What, you want? You're gonna just put him? You're gonna hide him in the post?
Why not? Before the first round series matchup, I actually had Boston taking the Wizards all the way to 7 games. Now I've kind of knocked them down to getting 1 game. That's how much of a step down I think in my mind that the Celtics are going to have against the Wizards. They're going to get massively torn apart, absolutely torn apart.
See, I this could go to the X factor for both of these, and it's what's making this playoffs so exciting for me personally. I haven't seen either of these teams match what I think their potential is yet in the playoffs. So it's difficult to predict. If we see the same Boston Celtics that we saw in the last series, inconsistent, playing in fits and starts with a bit of grief hanging over the team, I don't see them getting out of this series. On the other hand, they could come into this series hitting their threes. The matchups could be better offensively for them than against the Bulls, and we could see a completely different team. That their small ball lineup might be far more effective against this Wizards team. I just don't know. It's hard to slice it, because and on the other hand, the Wizards, are in the same boat. You pointed out how Beal hasn't played anywhere near to his potential yet. It's tough. It's tough for me to sit and try and make a judgment about how this is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see. I mean, I really thought that Boston were going to be a real force in this postseason. Now that I've seen them through their games against Chicago, and Chicago taking them so far, even without Rondo on the floor, they still didn't. I mean, they got over the line, but it's almost like they were carried by 3 other people over the line, and they were just like slumped on the finish line, going, "Yes, we finally won a series."
Yeah.
I don't see them.
I watched the last
fire.
I watched the last game in that series last night. I think it was a fairly comfortable win for them. I don't know if there was anything laboured about that particular win, but I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Over the course of the series, it looks like they've kind of just grasped victory out of the jaws of defeat there. But I can't. I find it difficult to come down. I hope it goes to 7 games, because that would be the most interesting. First game of this,
Yeah,
I believe, is tomorrow night.
I would love to see Marcus Smart come out and have himself a Lance Stevenson-esque type of game, and just start lighting people up.
What, just like blowing in people's ears and like untying their shoelaces and shit like that?
Yeah, and doing a wee dance every now and again. Hitting threes for fun.
There's going to be attitude in this series, definitely, because this is a kind of budding rivalry now. Between these guys, you've got that game in the regular season where the Wizards went wearing all black. These guys are starting to not like each other.
Yeah, and they're both young teams as well. So you've got that kind of X factor in them as well. Like they've both got a lot of cap space. They've both got a lot of young talent. They've both got coaches who really, really want to prove themselves. Especially Scott Brooks, now that he's past where his OKC Thunder have now departed from. But yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be. It's going to be. I think this series is going to be more interesting than the other series, which we're probably going to get on to talking about quite shortly.
Yeah, I'll make my prediction. I'll say Wizards in 7. But again, like part of the joy of this series is that it's like I just don't know. I just don't know what teams we're going to see. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how this rivalry is going to play out. I don't know how explosive and how heated the series is going to be. But I'm looking forward to watching it because I think it's going to be it's going to be entertaining. But I'll take Wizards in 7.
Okay, I'm going to take Wizards in 5.
5.
I mean, just 5.
4-1.
5.
Wow.
Yep.
You're relying on the Celtics having a similar start to the last series.
Yeah. That, and I think that I don't know. I've just got this feeling about John Wall this year that I think that he senses this kind of opportunity. Like there might be weaknesses in the conference final that he can exploit as well. So I think that he's going to really take upon himself to really push his team all the way this time.
Okay, so we'll move on. We'll move on to the Cavs and the Raptors now. So inconsistent offense from the Cavs, I think, is fair to say. I don't know. I'm going to say fortunate, but I don't think fortunate is the right word. I'm going to say it benefited them certainly that the Pacers' defense was a lot worse than their defense. They were able to go down. What is it, 26? They were able to go down 26 and come back from that. I've heard a lot of people say that was just orchestrated. It's like that they're playing with it. I don't believe that. I don't believe you mess around like that in the playoffs.
No, I don't. In my mind, there was a time in that game where I thought, are they actually just giving them this game? Because they took everyone off, and there was this kind of lull.
It was game 3 as well, wasn't it? It's that okay? We've got 2. We just need 1 here, and we'll give them the 3rd one because they need to rally. There's always that kind of mentality in a game 3 when a team has to go back home and pick up a win. They have to get a win when their back's up against the wall. I thought the same thing. I thought this is the one that they get.
There was a moment in game 4 as well where it was very, very, very close, and I remember watching the game and thinking they're giving out T-shirts again, but they just gave out T-shirts 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Do they know that they're going out right now? Is that why they're doing this? It was almost like their own fans were just getting forcibly fed T-shirts to take their eyes off the fact that they're actually in this game. I think the game was only, at that point, it was only 2 points, so it could have went either way, but at that point it was still like, you're just giving away our T-shirts because you're going to right now. Wow. That's a big white flag to the Cavs there. Yeah. You don't want to do that just now.
It was I know it was a sweep ultimately, but I think it was about as closely contested a sweep as there can be. How many games came down to narrow margins?
Yeah, very, 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 very close. Every game was very close. But when you've got an offense that's not really firing just yet, and both defenses not really producing what they're capable of. I mean, there was moments in all 4 games where the Cavs defense did step up, and they got big blocks, they got big steals. There was a lot of hustle plays, especially from Kyrie Irving jumping all over the floor all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm a big fan of that, just mainly because I remember he went down with a knee injury, and you're just like, don't get injured. Whatever you do, it's just one game. Don't get injured just now. And I think that's what kind of led them to rest him a bit more, especially like in fourth quarters and stuff like that. He was sitting down for a lot more, which is it's good because I think they're going to need him in this upcoming series quite a lot more than against the Pacers. I mean, Jeff Teague did go off pretty much that whole series long. Paul George was pretty much unstoppable every time he wasn't double teamed, which was pretty insane to see. Every time he got the ball anywhere near the 3-point line, you're like, that's going in.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
how many more can he hit?
There's a bit of negativity around that as well for me. After game 1 when CJ Miles took the shot and he got on his back straight away, on the court, like, saying I should have took a shot. I don't like that. I don't think. I thought it was a fine. Like if you remember that game, they were trying to give Paul George in isolation. That's what Nate McMillan was running out of the timeouts, trying to get in isolation, and twice LeBron just made a decision, to come and double team him, and he had to panic. He panicked out of that twice and had to just throw the ball away because he was about to get trapped. I don't know what he's expecting CJ Miles to do there, like throw the ball straight back at him when LeBron's, like he's got potentially two guys able to trap him again pretty quickly. I don't know what he was expecting there, but I thought that was fine. I thought that was as good a shot as they were going to get there, given that it was two broken plays in a row.
Exactly. I thought the shot by Miles was a good one. I mean, it came close. It obviously didn't go in.
He's a good shooter as well.
I thought that it was better. I think it was better than what George could have got by himself if he had thrown it to George anyway. And I think that a lot of the kind of the wordplay by George is just kind of orchestrating. I'm not happy here. I want to be traded.
He's laying the groundwork for his exit, isn't he? He's just kind of giving himself reasons to leave, I think, or giving himself excuses so that when he does leave, he's got something to point to and say, well, I was unhappy because of X, Y, and Z. It's quite clear that that's what was going on. But
I don't know if you heard this, but apparently, I think it was either today or yesterday, he was apparently going to rent a house in LA with a couple of his teammates. He's now just decided to buy a house in LA.
Oh well.
Throwing that out there. That's him gone.
Yeah, we all knew that's where he was wanting to play.
Yep.
Yeah, so that'll be some off-season chat, but yeah, he's just gone. I think you could tell that, certainly after game 3 that he's just not thinking about it anymore. He's just like, I'm out here. This one, on the other side of that bracket, that almost came through for you. You picked the Bucks in that, and there was a time I quite confidently picked the Raptors the last time we spoke about it. And there was a moment there where I'm going, oh shit, I've got that all wrong, like completely horribly wrong.
Yep. I watched every game of this series, and even when it was 3-2 to the Raptors, I think me and Gavin were both telling you this has still got more in it. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter with the scoreline just now. It didn't even matter that they were down by 13. I think they were down by 25 at one stage, and in my mind I was still going, they're probably going to come back from this.
Yeah, I mean that the last game and the closeout game for the Raptors there was a close one as well. That almost went to 7. That was a very, very tight game at the end. Jason Terry hitting the 3-pointer to keep them alive in it. They're just flashbacks to 2011.
Yep, I mean watching that series, I was really wanting the Bucks to go through, mainly because I thought it would be a better matchup against the Cavs for entertainment purposes. Seeing this kind of young-ish team against a Cavs team that are just full of shooters, a team that's like the Bucks are mostly reliant on defense. They don't really have that many 3-point shooters, so it's going to be going inside the post quite a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas
they would have given this Cleveland team a lot of trouble with their length.
Yep.
I tend to think that both of those teams would have been difficult matchups for Cleveland because of that. Because Toronto are quite a lengthy team as well.
Yeah,
they can play a really, really effective small ball lineup. They can, both of these would have been tough matchups for Cleveland, but just to see Giannis in there, going up against LeBron James, because he would not have backed down from LeBron James.
No.
It would have been amazing.
I don't know if you watched the last game at all, but there was the whole second half. Giannis didn't have a break. I was watching it on the Bucks commentary, and it got to I think 7:14 left in the fourth, and he'd just been fouled, so he's going to the free throw line, and the commentators are sitting there going, Jason Terry's not going to take him out of this game yet because he knows that at the 6-minute mark there's a TV timeout, so he can get a break then. And you can see Giannis at the free throw line literally hardly able to lift his head to see the basket, and you're like, you got to take him out. You got to give him more of a break than just a TV break because he's going to die. He's literally just dying out there. I mean, that's what really, in my mind, that's what really cost him the game, because there was a moment where the game was tied, and a swing happened to the weak side, and Giannis was covering, I think it was Powell or someone in the corner, and someone cut directly, I think it might have been Rosen, for a dunk, and Giannis was about 1 or 2 steps slow for a block because he was still, he's still trying to recover on defense. Then, like, just from sprinting up then the court getting free throws. So it was just like, wow, if he had that extra 1 or 2 minute break, I think he could have blocked that, and they would have still been in lead.
I don't know. So, I don't know if I'd point to that, like, just as a nice, like, just Giannis's fatigue. I think this Bucks team are a year or two away. I think, like, there's a lot of inconsistency, not in Giannis's play in particular, but they are a really, really young team. They're playing Thon Maker, significant minutes. He's a rookie. He's still a rookie.
Yeah, he's still a rookie. I mean,
and Bogdan is what's his name?
Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, Malcolm Brogdon. These guys are playing real significant stretches for this playoff team, and the rookies
he didn't play at all in that fourth quarter.
I mean, but they're just a little bit of experience, lacking in it of a little bit of experience in the playoffs to make the next jump. Yeah. A lot like if you remember back to 2000 and it might have been 2011, 2012 when the Thunder played a 1-8 matchup with the Lakers in the first round of the playoffs, and they managed to get 2 games off the Lakers. They were a really, really young team. They were on the up. And they broke out very soon after that. That's where I think this Bucks team is. They're going to steal a couple of games in the playoffs, make it look interesting, but really next season and the season after are the ones that they're going to make the real breakthrough to potentially the conference finals.
Yeah. Sorry.
So in this series, like I said, there's the Cavs defense is really inconsistent. I think Toronto are going to give them a lot of trouble there. Toronto are a good defensive team, even in that series where where they weren't actually playing very well. It was because their offense wasn't rolling. It's because Lowry and DeRozan are will frequently just lay an egg in the playoffs and not play up to their standard, and it happens all the time. It's happened over the past few years where they just consistently have these lapses, these real poor games in the playoffs. So that's part of how that last series was a bit of a struggle for them. But it's the defensive end where they're pretty consistent and pretty strong.
Yeah, that's true.
That's going to bother the Cavaliers a lot more than the Pacers defense did, and it's going to and I don't see the Cavaliers defense giving Raptors anywhere near as much trouble as the Bucks did. So that's what makes this an interesting series for me. Because I don't think that Lowry and DeRozan are going to have as hard a time. They're not going to be, they're not competing against these rangy, gangly, long-armed perimeter guys in this series.
Yeah. I mean, the thing was, in that series, that was just against the Bucks. The Raptors had a big problem playing their big Valanciunas, and that was because Monroe was dominating them all over the shop. And even when Valanciunas sat down and they were playing a back at the centre, Monroe was still dominating the back. And I think if the Cavs had someone like a Monroe, like someone who's a bit bigger than Tristan, who had better footwork and stuff like that, they would really give them a bit better of a game inside.
Yeah.
But on the perimeter, I do agree that I think that Toronto are going to have an easier time getting to their spots, Lowry and DeRozan. The thing I think is going to happen here is kind of similar in the Cavs Pacers series where JR guards Lowry and LeBron, or probably Shumpert tries to guard DeRozan, which I don't think that's going to be a good matchup for Shumpert because he's a good defender, but I just don't think he's got the height and the kind of foot speed that DeRozan's going to demand from him. So it's going to be a hard matchup for the kind of perimeter guys here.
Yeah, I just what potentially could happen here as well is that the Raptors could beat themselves. Like I say, like those guys, Lowry and DeRozan, I don't know, like they can let themselves down, and that's a real danger here. Because of the struggles from the last series, I don't know again what type of Toronto team I'm about to see in this round. I know what the Cavs are. I know what the Cavs are going to be. The Cavs are going to be a really, really strong offensive team and a really, really poor defensive team, and they're going to, most of the time be able to see out games on the back of their offense. I can rely on that when I try and judge what's going to happen here. I can rely on what the Cavs are going to be. I can say what the Raptors should be. They should be a very, very versatile defensive team that the Cavs defense is going to have a lot of trouble with, and especially in the backcourt. But they could also be nothing like that.
Yeah, I think in the lines of I think the Raptors are going to do exactly what Raptors usually do.
What, lay an egg?
And probably shoot themselves out of a game.
Yeah.
I can't see them being as consistent, like from Lowry. I mean, DeRozan wasn't shooting badly, but he was shooting not up to standard in the Bucks series. Especially, he took 12 3-point shots. Why is DeRozan still taking 3-point shots? Is Dwayne Casey not told him, do not take a 3-point shot? You can't shoot from three. It's blatantly obvious he can't shoot from three.
Yeah, I mean,
that series is under 10%. It's just ridiculous.
That's one thing, I guess, that helps the Cavs is how predictable he is in that sense. He plays more like a classic two guard where it doesn't extend that range all the way out to the 3-point line. He likes to shoot long twos, which statistically, especially in today's NBA, is a real disadvantage. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if those two guys, if Lowry and DeRozan, you can rely on the Toronto defense being strong. If DeRozan and Lowry come out and play really, really well offensively, then this could be an upset. That could happen. I just don't know how confident I am in saying that that's going to happen 4 games.
Yeah.
It might happen 2 games. I think it'll happen 2 games, but I don't know how much more than that we can expect.
Yeah, I'm gonna make another prediction, which is a bit kind of out there, but I think that you're going to see the real good minutes of Derek Williams come back in this series, because I think that his defense will be really needed on DeMar DeRozan, because I think that matchup will be a matchup he doesn't want, that DeMar does not want, because he's tall, he's athletic, he's quick, he can jump at the gym, so I think that's going to happen. And based on that, I really can't see the Raptors getting more than 1 game.
I don't know about that. This is going to be a tough series. I'll say Cleveland in 6. Cleveland in 6 at least. I think it could. I think there's real potential there. It's such a hard one to call, but I think there's potential there for the Raptors to upset the Cavs here. But I trust LeBron James and the Cavaliers a lot more than I trust this Raptors team. So that's why I'll call it Cavs in 6.
Yeah, I'm going Cavs in 5. Not because I'm a Cleveland fan or a LeBron fan. I just think that the Raptors.
It's 5's his favourite number today.
They're just not meant for the playoffs. I just have that feeling in my mind, and that's why I thought they weren't going to get through the Bucks team. And I think that if that last game had gone a little bit differently, they wouldn't have won Game 7. I'm pretty confident in that they would not have won Game 7 if they'd have lost that game.
See, on the other hand, though, they really gutted out an away win, against a Bucks team that just were not giving up. They really, really gutted that out and carved that win out. That's not an easy thing to do, and that's against a much better defense than what the Cavs are going to throw at them.
Yeah, but it was a much more predictable offense. It was literally give the ball to Giannis and hope he does something. And I don't think that's not gonna be a thing that happens against Cleveland. Yeah, I know the ball's gonna go to LeBron, but it's not gonna be give the ball to LeBron and see what happens. It's gonna give the ball to LeBron. You're right because
if that, everyone kind of choked up a little bit towards the end of that game. Guys like Chris Middleton and these young Bucks guys, they did kind of freeze up a little bit. What the Cavs have that they don't have is you can give the ball to LeBron James and he will take you home himself. Like, he can do that in the last 5 minutes of games. So yeah, you're right about that. That changes the complexion quite a lot for them. But it's going to be interesting. I think probably this is the best shot any team will have of beating the Cavs in the Eastern Conference.
Really?
I don't know. I'm not convinced. This is a Washington team that is really, really young and inexperienced as well. So assuming they did get past the Celtics and face the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe you'd say, yeah, they're athletic, they're offensively explosive enough to give the Cavs a really, really difficult time. But all those Cavs guys are just experienced, steady heads against a bunch of young guys, young, explosive, volatile guys. I don't know. I wouldn't be as confident in the Wizards taking games off the Cavs as I am about Toronto taking games off them.
I'm just thinking back to the regular season and seeing. I know that LeBron doesn't care about the regular season and stuff like that, but he sure as hell gave himself enough to care about to hit that. Was it taking that shot taking the game to overtime with that 3-point shot right in the Wizards bench? So that's in the back of my mind, that thinking that the Wizards will give them a really, really hard fought series, because the way that they've played leading up to this kind of moment throughout the regular season and against the Cavs in the regular season, I think they're going to give them quite a few things to think about in the playoffs.
Yeah.
More than the Raptors anyway.
Well, we'll see. So you've got Cleveland in 5, I've got Cleveland in 6. So yes. we'll jump on now to the Spurs and the Rockets. I'm glad we get a chance to talk about this one actually, because we haven't actually spoken on air about this matchup. Yes. But so some interesting things from the last 2 series in this bracket. So I called Oklahoma City winners of that series completely wrongly.
Just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I genuinely felt like the supporting casts of Westbrook and Harden were pretty even. Maybe Houston was a little bit better, but if it came to supporting cast against supporting cast, then I thought this would have been a much more even series. The problem is Russell Westbrook has his ball in his hands all the time, and those supporting guys around him just don't get the opportunity to help him, and that changes everything.
They weren't ever given a chance to get in the flow of the offense, mainly because Russell was doing Russell.
Yeah. And
I'm not just slating Russell for slating Russell. I just don't think that style of play will help you in the playoffs, and that's why.
No, you're right.
When we were talking about this off air, I was pretty confident that the best time to get out in Westbrook was before that series, because then you weren't getting exposed to the fact that he can't lead a team like that to a conference final by himself, and with that supporting cast, he doesn't elevate his team the same way in the playoffs. He doesn't he did in the regular season.
He doesn't even in the regular season though. He doesn't make his teammates better, which is a big problem. I think he's an outstanding player. I don't mean this to be a criticism of Russell Westbrook's ability at all. I just, the way that he wants to play. Fair enough. In the regular season, he's going for a triple double. They're doing some really, really smart marketing things. They are, getting guys to be, getting the fans to be excited about Oklahoma City Thunder in the season after Kevin Durant has left. So I can understand exactly why they had the season that they wanted to have there. But I would not bet on a lot of players wanting to go and play with Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City. He needs to have a more balanced team around him to help him get to where he's trying to go here, and a team that kind of complements him in the way that the Houston Rockets complement James Harden. He needs to have something like that. But with that kind of usage rate and the tendency of guys who are being iced out of offense to just end up watching what's happening, which has happened throughout history, you can't win playoff games that way. It's impossible.
Well, I mean, his teammates aren't just iced out of offense. I mean, they're iced out of interviews. They're iced out of the locker room.
Do you know what? No, that was a different thing. That was a different thing. I thought that was strong actually of Russell Westbrook. He probably should have let Steven Adams answer the question. But that's just. But you know, it was.
Yeah.
It was. You know, it was powerful. It was strong. It's just Russell Westbrook. It is that. That's who he is. That's his personality. So I don't mind that so much. It sums up. You know, it sums everything up, though, doesn't it? You know, it sums up how he plays on the court and how he is off the court and just what he is to that team.
Yeah. I mean, like some of the stats behind their those games. Just got here. In the last game, when the 6 minutes Russell Westbrook was off the floor, the Houston Rockets outscored OKC 27-9. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, he's averaging like 35 shots a game as well, Russell Westbrook. Yeah.
And see, when you were talking about their benches being quite similar. I mean, I thought the Rockets bench was a little bit better. They were a bit more. I thought they were a bit more
talent-wise, like completely talent-wise, I'd say that they're about even. You know, Oladipo and Steven Adams. You know, Steven Adams has not had the same season as he had last season, but in the playoffs last year, he was an absolute monster. Oladipo should be a lot better than he is, and I think he really, you know,
he's really suffered.
He suffers as a result of playing with Russell Westbrook. Those are two really. If you did a kind of, I don't know, I'll take Bill Simmons' way of kind of comparing these teams. If you did a draft, you know, if you took Russell Westbrook and James Harden as captains and did a draft, the teams would be the teams would still come out pretty even. Like, you'd still be picking players from both sides. You know. Yeah. Your first four picks are going to be Oladipo, Adams, Lou Williams, and maybe Eric Gordon.
Yeah.
So they've got three. You know, the top six guys are split quite evenly across the two teams, and then so I feel like but just the way they play changes everything.
The real question is, who's taking Robertson after he can't even hit a free throw? Like that was some pretty scary stuff. Like. Well, I actually wonder how teams haven't realised that more this season. Like, he cannot shoot free throws, and how can you hit 3-pointers but not hit free throws?
He is an elite defender, so that's how he gets to play. That's the only reason he gets to play. I think there's a way to use him. There's certainly a way to use him in the NBA because he is such a strong defender. I'm just trying to wonder there. Just because you've put it that way, if he would be more effective on the Rockets, and I don't know, probably not, because they have enough.
Well, they got Pat Beverly, number one all defense, but allows Russell to get 40 points.
Yeah.
Just on the back of that, just before we move on to obviously the next round matchup for these guys, big series from Nene. Tying an NBA record and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was quite surprised by that as well. I don't know where that came from, because that guy's nearly dead. That guy's got a grey beard. Like, I'm not even joking. He's got a fucking grey beard.
Here, I've got a bit of a grey beard. I'm not dead yet, but like,
I'm pretty sure Nene has been dead for 3 years, and he came back just for this fucking series.
No, he's been revitalized by the fact that D'Antoni's just kind of told him, look, you're pretty much Amari Stoudemire, apart from the athleticism.
But he's like tractor trailer. He's like Shaq. He's like Shaq in that 2008 Suns team where they were trying to get him to play 7 seconds or less. So actually what happened is they played 4-on-5, and if they couldn't get a shot off in 7 seconds, then up comes Shaq, just jogging slow as treacle into the paint.
Well, was that Suns team not built around the fact that Shaq only had to play 7 seconds or less? Is that not what it was? It wasn't the fact that their offense was 7 seconds or less. It was Shaq, you had to play 7 seconds or less, and then you sit down.
It was awful. I don't know what they were thinking. You know, it works sometimes. Like, Shaq had a 40-point game that season.
Yeah.
But it wasn't getting him in fast break points.
No. Was it a game where he had loads of free throws? Is that maybe where it was?
Do you know what? He was actually a much better free throw shooter when he played for that Phoenix team as well. He was like 70% or something.
I see. Have you watched the new Bleacher Report Game of Zones episode?
I've not. I'm going to wait till they're all out and watch them all.
I won't spoil it for you then. But episode 2 is all about James Harden and Mike D'Antoni, so it's quite funny, or mostly about them. It's really really funny. Just in the back of the fact that just everyone becomes a better shooter in Mike D'Antoni's offense. So
well, yeah, I look forward to seeing that. If we talk just quickly about the Spurs and the Grizzlies, I wasn't expecting much from. I thought I called that as a sweep on the other podcast with Gavin. I think we both did actually. There's two things that I've learned from that series. First of all, San Antonio Spurs are vulnerable, especially offensively. Yeah, but we've been saying that about the San Antonio Spurs since 2013. Though they're too old.
I know, but they don't have Tim Duncan this year, so.
And he was the oldest of all of them, so they're actually not as old anymore.
It doesn't matter. They're old, and they're just no. So this is the thing that I've been saying to you since before the playoffs began, that Pop is a great coach. Pop can do miracles. Pop can't bring old people back to life. Yes, unlike Mike D'Antoni with Nene, he's not going to bring.
That's just false though. Like that's just false. Just need to look at recent history to know that Pop can get the most out of older guys.
Can he though?
Yes,
David West was there.
He definitely can.
David West was there last year, and he was criticised for how bad he was playing and stuff like that. He's now went to the Warriors, now playing better this season. I know that they've now got who did they get in the switch with that? They got Gasol, and Gasol's playing amazing, and David Lee's playing amazing as well. But these guys are not your main go-to guys on that offense. You've got Tony Parker, who is still producing some big moments and stuff like that, and he's shooting the three best in the series and stuff like that. But
he can also go a game where he shoots he makes 0 points.
Yes, I just think it's quite scary that Tony Parker is still your point guard in that team, because they need someone else. They do. They just blatantly do.
I think a lot of the issues with him are a little bit overblown though. They are vulnerable. I can see that they're definitely vulnerable now, but that Grizzlies team were no team full of mugs either. Like they really came out and played really, really, really well. You wouldn't have expected that. Kawhi's the best player in the series. You wouldn't have expected that the next three best players would have been Grizzlies players. I certainly wouldn't have called that. I would have thought Aldridge or someone.
No, I don't think anyone would have called that, but saying that, the Grizzlies do what they do. They grind out wins, they grind out games, they play big physical offense. I think that if the Grizzlies had to match up against the Warriors and the Trailblazers had to match up against the Spurs, we would be having a very different discussion just now on the fact that the Grizzlies just got swept and the Portland are now 3-3 with the Spurs. That's that in my mind. That's what would have happened.
Could have happened. No, you're right about that. I thought you were going to say that the Grizzlies could have taken some games off the Warriors. I was ready to go. What?
Oh dear God, no.
Yeah.
The Grizzlies. You've got to remember, last season the Grizzlies were running with D-League All-Stars for a very long time. Actually, they weren't even All-Stars; they were just D-League players. This season they're remarkably better, but that's just because their guys are healthy. They're healthy, but they're also old, which culminated in the fact that was the slowest paced series in the whole NBA. Not just the slowest by something like how do we look on the basketball reference things, and their pace was something like 85.5. The next slowest was 98 point something. Yeah. That's just crazy.
But
everyone else is around about 100, and they're 85 point something. I know the playoffs are supposed to be slower, but that was really slow.
Yeah. So there's definitely a stylistic difference between the Grizzlies and the Rockets here, but I don't think that the Grizzlies were bad there. I think they came out, and I don't think that the fact that series was an interesting series and that the Grizzlies winning games was completely down to the fact that the Spurs, down to Spurs' struggles. They came out and played. There was some outstanding play from Marc Gasol, outstanding play from Mike Conley, and I think they started Zach Randolph in a couple of games. But see, having him coming off the bench, like he's just a absolute monster. He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a real big nuisance for your man that has to guard him on the offensive end. And when he's on defense, even though he literally can't move side to side anymore, he still manages to get blocks.
Yeah.
And you're just like, or even like shots altered and stuff like that, and you're like, wow, that's just down to him. And
he's so intelligent and so tough. He's a real trouble to play against. So what I'll say is that the Spurs were a little bit more vulnerable than I expected them to be, but the Grizzlies were a lot better than I expected them to be, and I think that's why that series was a bit closer than anyone anticipated. Not that the Spurs are in real trouble. I think the Spurs are in real trouble. Just mainly for the fact that I think that they allowed Memphis to shoot 38% from three. Now Memphis aren't traditionally a 3-point shooting team. I know, but did you see some of the shots Mike Conley's hitting? Did you see he's drilling them right in people's faces? What can you do? It was just playing really well.
Yep. But you're gonna be going against a team that shoots on average 10 3-pointers more than the Grizzlies and makes considerably more of them as well. And I think it's just gonna be a matchup made from hell for Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Patty Mills, Danny Green. All these guys are going to be trying to guard Harden, Gordon, Beverly.
Yeah, I get it. I see it. I see it a bit clearer than I did before when we spoke about it. I can understand it a little bit more, but I have to keep on falling back on. I was a real passionate fan of Mike D'Antoni coached teams for a very, very long time. His entire time that he was with the Phoenix Suns, I watched all of their games. I was a real fan. I have seen too many times a Mike D'Antoni coached team who look like this Rockets team with an outstanding point guard, a bunch of bit part role players around him that just look absolutely amazing because they're playing with the point guard. The offense just works for everyone. They offensively in the regular season they just look like this incredible force, and then they come into the playoffs and they have to go and play against the Spurs, and Popovich just understands exactly how to beat them, to drag the seconds out of possessions, to really bring the tempo down, make them force them to shoot less shots over the course of a game, and grind their offense to a halt almost. This just feels like that again, and I feel like those Phoenix teams were a lot better than this Houston team, and were getting ground down by Spurs teams that were about as good, maybe even a little bit poorer than this Spurs team. They didn't have a Kawhi Leonard. They didn't have a guy like that back then.
No, but they had Tim Duncan, and they
what I'm saying is though it wasn't the premier Spurs teams that were doing that to the Phoenix Suns. It was really not average Spurs teams. If you can imagine such a concept, the Spurs. I'm not talking about good Spurs teams that are just sapping the offense out of these teams. I know what you're saying. I get it, but I just can't trust. I've seen it too many times. I can't trust Mike D'Antoni. I can't trust that his team is going to play good enough defense to beat a team like the Spurs that are so good at moving the ball and will be so deliberately coached in everything they do on offense and everything they do on defense. I don't know. I don't think it's a clear cut. I don't think that. And the other thing is the Rockets haven't been tested to the same extent as the Spurs just were. Defensively, that Grizzlies team are going to be a lot tougher than this Rockets team, and the Rockets are used to playing against a real Swiss cheese defense in the last series against the Thunder. It's not going to be that easy against this Spurs team.
Well, I mean, the Thunder weren't any slouches on defense themselves. Remarkably, they were a really good defensive team over the whole season. It was just the fact that in the off season, in the postseason, they were just exposed for the fact that as soon as you get past Robertson, your inside man, if it's not Adams, if it's Cantor, he's pretty much not even guarding anyone. So exploit him a lot, and that's what happened. That's how these guys like Nene and all that got loads of points down low, because you're getting marked by by Cantor. You're getting, as soon as you get Adams off someone or onto Harden and stuff like that, you can exploit him there as well. So I just think that this Spurs team, without Kawhi just literally putting the whole team on his back, is going to really, really struggle to get 4 wins against
you see
a
that
really
though,
good offense.
The Spurs are never going to put the whole team on Kawhi's back. That's just not, their isolation plays have increased in the playoffs from what they were in the regular season, but that happens every playoffs with the Spurs. They're not the type of team that's just going to throw the ball to Kawhi and say, right, take us over the line. They move the ball too well for that. Like, they will have just anybody shoot the ball who's open if that's the outcome of the play. And Kawhi, within that movement and that structure, where in the Rockets' defense are they going to find it within themselves to stop Kawhi Leonard, who's always going to be a threat? And if they do collapse on him or double him up, the ball's moving. They're going to get open shots. It's not going to be an easy defensive matchup for the Rockets, and that's where always a Mike D'Antoni team gets exposed. And I've just seen it too many times to predict that the outcome's going to be anything but that again. You know what I mean, though? Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah,
I've had my heart broken by this man too many times.
Yeah, I think I just think that this season, just particularly with this Spurs lineup, when it goes to the bench, that's when they really, really, really struggle against teams. And if you go bench via bench, I think the Rockets have a better bench than the Spurs this season. Manu's looking pretty tired. When David Lee comes in, although he looks good and Pugs will look good and stuff like that, I just think they're going to get exposed by Nene or Anderson or whoever's playing at the 5 at that moment. Just a bit too much for my liking. I would always usually say the Spurs are going to go to the conference finals and they're going against the Warriors, and then it's going to become a real interesting matchup. I just don't see it happening this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so to wrap this one up, I'm far less confident of the outcome than I was before the playoffs started. But you could flip a coin for how I feel about this one, just to be honest with you. I don't know. As good as the Rockets' offense is, they're not the Warriors' offense. If a team that relies so heavily on 3-point shooting, we've seen it dry up time and time again. And the best team at forcing that to happen is the Spurs. So I don't know. It depends. If the Rockets can come out and they can shoot really well from 3-point range, and let's take that just completely on its own, right? If they can shoot really, really well from 3-point range, then I think they'll probably win this series. But it relies on the tempo being high and them making those shots. That's all it is, because they are not going to hold the Spurs out on the other end. And if the Spurs can grind the tempo down, that's less shots, that's less points. They're calculating that at all times. They're so deliberate in their approach. I'm going to say Spurs in 7.
I'm going to say Rockets in 7. Yeah,
so at least we agree that it's going to be close.
We're pretty much agreed it's probably going to be 7. I mean, if the Rockets do have a couple of good games at shooting the 3-ball well, because they didn't have a real good game shooting the 3-ball well against OKC, and I don't think that was mainly down to OKC's good defense. I just mainly think that was just the Rockets not quite getting it together yet in the postseason.
Yeah. So
I think that the first game against Spurs is going to be a real barometer on how this series is going to pan out. If they're shooting over 30% from 3 in the first game, it's going to be a real good matchup.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so 7 games, and I've got Spurs, you've got Rockets. Yeah. One just very quickly before we move on, I'd say that last series has probably enhanced Kawhi Leonard's MVP case, although the voting has already been done and counted.
Yeah, it's not closed.
We're talking about guys like Harden managed to drag this out of the Rockets, and Westbrook managed to drag this out of the Thunder. Look what Kawhi's managed to drag out of the Spurs. Like, if you're taking it on records and who contributed the most the most wins to his team's overall performance in it over the season, then it's Kawhi, and he plays both ends of the floor. Yeah, like I feel like if we were doing that vote now, it wouldn't just be a 2-man race.
But it's never. I mean, for the past, I don't know how many years now, it's never been who's contributing the most to their actual team. It's usually just who makes the most flashy plays.
No, I disagree. I disagree with that.
Who's leading the score and all that kind of jazz. I think it has been.
No, I think you're really disrespecting Steph Curry when you say that.
Maybe. But he disrespects himself when he gets unanimous MVP and then doesn't show up in the finals.
Well, yeah. I can't remember if we spoke about it at the time, but he was clearly hurt. Like, he got injured in was that Blazers first round series back then as well? He was injured in that.
Probably. Yeah,
he had like he had visibly injured elbows on both hands, both his both arms.
Well, if he's got elbows in both hands, of course he's injured.
I bet like they're really visibly, they looked swollen. You could see it, and you can see it because his arms are so skinny. He was not fit in those finals, but I wouldn't make excuses for him. That was definitely not ideal. So we'll move on to the Warriors and the Clippers now. This is probably there's the least amount to say here. So, I'm assuming. Sorry, I forgot.
Oh, okay.
My pick's the Clippers for that how that Game 7 will pan out. I've switched. You might remember because I had the Jazz here the last time.
Yeah.
Actually, I spoke to Gavin. I picked the Jazz in this. Without Gobert and with Chris Paul playing like an absolute demon out of his mind, like refusing to let this be a first round exit for his team, I think the Clippers are going to take Game 7 tomorrow night.
I don't think I think the Jazz are going to prevail here. Mainly for the fact that I just think that it's all going to come apart for Doc Rivers. Especially, I mean,
it always does, doesn't it?
Playing in the Blake Griffin spot, which is, it's never a good look. When Austin Rivers on the floor, I just really wonder what are other people thinking. When they're on the floor with Austin Rivers, we're going to pass to our leading star, small forward, Austin Rivers. No, let's not pass to him. Where's Bamuti? Where's Jamal Crawford? Just get someone else there.
Do you know something? I was listening. I think it was probably the Ringer, but they're talking about Mbamute and how he just has absolutely no desire to go to the basket. And I remember the game they were talking about. Do you remember? I don't know if you watched the game where I can't remember who it was in the Jazz, but someone got managed to draw a charge off Mbamute as he was driving away from the basket. Like, where have you ever seen that happen? Ever? I remember watching it going, what? Like, they were so sure that he was going to drive into the paint and then drive right back out of it, away from the basket, that they managed to set and take a charge.
Yep.
That's mental.
Yep.
Like, that's...
I don't disbelieve that. I really don't disbelieve that actually happened. It's just, I just think it's... I mean, I know the Jazz are all kind of banged up and stuff. I just think they'll have enough to get over the line here. And I know I really love Chris Paul as a point guard, and I think that when he does go to the Spurs next season, that is going to become an amazing team again.
Yeah. You sure he's not going to the Bucks?
Huh?
What if he goes to the Bucks?
He's not going to go to the Bucks.
Why not?
He wants to win now.
He could win now. You've got point guard on the Bucks on that Bucks team.
You're not just going to suddenly transform the Bucks into a championship level team.
Can you imagine the Bucks with Chris Paul as a point guard? Can you imagine it? It would be fucking incredible.
Yeah. But I also imagine in his mind, who do I want to go and play for? Do I want to go and play for Jason Kidd, or do I want to go with Popovich, who consistently gets to the conference finals every single year and has basically put me out every single time I've got anywhere with this Clippers team? Yeah, I'm going to go play with him. Especially when, who would he rather be giving the ball to? Giannis, who he knows can't shoot from three, or Kawhi Leonard?
You're disrespecting Giannis a little bit.
From three.
He's getting better.
He's getting better, yeah, but I mean, he's not. He's like, even if Steph Curry did have elbows for hands, he would shoot better than Giannis from three. Okay, so he's going to go with the Spurs. He's going to go with Pop because that's the more logical decision if he wants to win now. If he wanted to win in 4 years' time, go with Giannis, and he's going to have multiple rings. But he would be old, and he'd pretty much be Paul Pierce by that stage.
Oh, he's not going to be that fat. He's never going to be that fat. He's never going to be that out of shape. He's never going to be that soft. Like,
have you seen Big Baby Davis recently? By the way,
no. Has he put even more weight on, or is he looking?
He basically looks like he's Shaq and Kendrick Perkins.
Oh fuck! Yeah, I've never seen a human being. Do you know? It's so bizarre to watch him playing basketball because he can move a bit. You know.
Yep. I've seen him on a couch, and I don't know if he's the couch or if the couch has now become him. It's just like they've just morphed into the same thing, you know. He's
the closest thing in the NBA to what we have here in Scottish basketball. Like when we're playing, local league. Every team has a big fat guy. Yeah. Who is just going to hit people. Like that's his job, is just to hit people, to boulder through. A bit of a kind of juggernaut thing going on. And some of them, like on the better teams, the better version of that in Scottish basketball, they can fucking move a bit. They're still heavy and clumsy and not great basketball players, but some of them are, they can get in front of you. They can
get them down the floor.
Yeah, that's what he is. That is exactly what he is. He would be outstanding in Scottish basketball.
Yeah.
He's like the LeBron version of that kind of player. Anyway, so yeah, you've got I don't want to talk too much about that. What happened to the Portland Trailblazers in the last series, because it was just so simple. Like I thought that Durant was injured for a moment. I was like, oh no, something happened to Durant, but they're just being cautious with him because they could be. They just
no. I personally think that Durant is still injured. I think they rushed him back too early because he still looks limpy to me.
I think they played him in the start of that series because they weren't sure what it was going to be, and they've thought, right, okay, we don't actually need to have Kevin back yet. We can afford to be more careful with him. You're right. They've probably rushed him back, but not because not at risk to like re-injuring them, because there would be no sense in doing that, because they, like, even without Kevin Durant, they would have known that they would have a decent shot at get of this series.
Well, they had more of a decent shot. It was almost like I think they overestimated how good the Blazers would actually be.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I think
the Blazers have underperformed from what they did last season, and their team is worse than last season. It just is. Lillard is. I mean, he's still making big plays and stuff like that, but he's not at his peak just now. And last season there was a big kind of blip where he just kind of took off, and it looked like this season he was just going to be in the race for the MVP and stuff like that. This season he's not looked like that at all. His supporting cast has been very, very abysmal as well. I mean, when you're thinking that they were the 8th seed, I would have much rather seen Denver against Golden State.
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that. The Joker.
Yep. Just for the fact that like the matchups would have been a lot more interesting, because I mean, I'm watching a lot of Golden State this year. I know they don't handle big men very well. They really, really don't, especially when you've got a big man who can shoot a three. That would be really, really worrisome for them. Because do you put JaVale McGee out there? The Shaq's and the Phil's calling. They're wanting you to start back on it.
Hey, don't be clowning on JaVale. He shot 10. Was it game 3 or 4? He shot 10 for 10.
But they're not layups.
Oh, they're probably all dunks. I'd be surprised if there was any layups.
I think some of them were layups.
But don't clown on him. Like that's hard to do for anybody in a playoff game. He's definitely had the best season of his career so far. Yeah, he was like, to think that he was, I don't know, would it be overstating it to say that he was almost out of the league? Well, he was getting passed around like he was. Who's that guy that was getting passed around earlier on this season? Oh, who was he again? I've totally forgot his name. Well, he was getting passed around like Ilyasova was, at least. But there were definitely. But at least you can see where Ilyasova would benefit a team. You can see what
exactly.
Like
exactly.
I feel like he was just about to be out of the league. But they're not picking him up. It was like a free agent coming, try out during the off season, and then there was a whole, it was like a month or 2 months of I'm not sure. Should we offer him a contract? Should he? They weren't sure about it. That's where he was last summer, and now he's 10 for 10 in the playoffs. And I think he's had a good season. I think he's been a good addition.
I mean, arguably, he should really be the starting centre.
I don't know. I think I wouldn't screw around too much with what the Warriors are doing. I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't be averse to him playing more minutes. Certainly not.
Yeah. I thought you were about to say I wouldn't screw around with Zaza. I was like, you're scared of Zaza? Why are you scared of Zaza?
Can you imagine if he was a starting centre? Maybe Kevin Durant would never have been injured.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. Or maybe Kevin Durant would have got a worse injury. we just don't know. Like maybe he would have landed on Kevin Durant rather than just hit him with his knee.
Yeah. It would have killed him, yeah.
Yeah. Although I don't know if that really would affect them that much because they're both quite big, gangly guys, aren't they? They're not like it's not like Zaza's like this kind of man mountain.
Yeah.
But he is a man mountain compared to like JaVale because he's like 4 times the size of him.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I think the Golden State Warriors have a lot of injuries, including their coach coming into this, which
that's what worries me more actually.
Hopefully, gets back soon.
That's what I was going to go on to say. Like I don't think there's anything too serious up with Durant. I think he'll be back for game 1 of this. Like, it was merely just a case of, Kevin, we don't need you to be here. Do you fancy just making absolute sure with that knee?
Yeah,
that's all it was. Steve Kerr's a different. So it depends. In this next series, at least, it depends what the extent of this back injury is. He was on the Bill Simmons podcast this season, just talking about how, talking about these back troubles. He's been living a life of pain that is not, often spoken about. He's very, he's in quite serious pain all the time, Steve Kerr. Enough so at this point that he just cannot be, he cannot be on the sidelines. He can't physically do it. So who knows how long that will last. I don't see it being a problem into this next series, whoever gets through. Because this team at this point coaches itself. It's like, it's like coaching an all-star team at this point.
Yeah, it's almost like he's just put the NBA 2K17 on, and he's just letting CPU play CPU.
Just simulate.
He realizes his team's a lot better than every other team in the NBA just now, so I don't need to be there. Yeah. And he's even got. It's quite interesting. We're not really talking about this, but they've got Mike Brown, who is known for basically taking Cleveland quite far in the playoffs.
Is he known for that? I think he's more known for being fired 5 games into his career with the Lakers.
yeah.
For trying to play a Princeton offense. Try to play a Princeton offense with Steve Nash and Dwight Howard and Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol. That's what I kind of remember more.
At least when we know he's not really going to be coaching, he's really just going to be standing there going, Steph, you got any thoughts?
Just keep counting everybody's fouls and everybody's minutes. That's what he'll be doing.
Yeah.
And that won't be a problem this next series. If I don't want to project too far ahead, but if in a series maybe against the Spurs, I would be worried about Mike Brown on the sidelines because that's going to be a chess game.
Yeah.
But if we keep on this one just now, whoever gets in, I think it'll be fine. And it's about Steve Kerr doing what Kevin Durant's doing and just being a bit more cautious because he doesn't need to be on the sideline. And if it came to the finals, for example, would he be back because he has to be there, or is it serious? Is he physically incapable of doing it at this point? And if he is, then that could be a worry deep into the playoffs, but not in the next series.
Why aren't we getting him on FaceTime or something like that? Surely Mike Brown would be better just having getting an iPad and putting it over Mike Brown's face.
That's the next.
Just watching Steve Kerr just talk at him. These guys. I think that'd be better.
That's the point. I mean that is still very, very possible. It's not just because he's not on the sideline doesn't mean he's not involved and he's not, he doesn't have an influence. He's not, taking part in post game, and and all
timeout
that kind of thing.
situations and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
I mean, do they take part in timeout situations and stuff like that?
I
You
don't
never
know.
see like people on a phone or anything like that, do you?
I don't know if I don't know if it would be Mike Brown who would be on the phone. There'd be people around him on the phone.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if they would. I don't know if he's involved in during the game, but half time, between quarters, that kind of thing. He's he could. There's opportunity there for him to have an input, certainly. Whether he is or not, I don't know, because how much does he really need to say at this moment in the playoffs?
Yeah, that's very true.
So like if that whole series was over after game one, when you get like 80 points from your two best players, and still lose by like 15 or whatever, it was over from then. So I don't want to do too much of a post-mortem on that, but we've got Golden State, and it's going to be it's going to be the Clippers or the Jazz. I've got the Clippers just because I don't see Chris Paul relenting and dragging this team. I don't think the team want to be in the next round, but Chris Paul's going to drag them there. He's going to make them play in this next round.
I just think that like Gordon Hayward and just like the offense side of the Jazz will take them through.
Do we know if Rudy Gobert's back for Game 7?
Well, he's been. I don't quite know, because I know he went out in the last game early, didn't he, as well?
I don't know. Was he back in Game 6?
Was he not? Well, he came back after Game 1, didn't he? Because everyone thought he was going out for the whole season.
I thought I haven't really followed the last 3 games of this series, but I don't think he went out the first 17 seconds of Game 1, and the projection at that time was it'll be late in the series if he's back at all.
Yep, but then he came back in Game 3, I believe. So he was back, and I think let's just double check. I'm pretty sure he did play minutes of the last game. Give me 1 second.
No worries.
Even if they don't have Rudy Gobert, the only thing that's really all we're really saying there is DeAndre Jordan has a better chance of scoring a dunk. That's really it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, he played 33 minutes of the last game, so he's not fine. We know he's not fine, but he's still productive.
Yeah. And
he's still like a nuisance to the Clippers. So I think, given the benefit of the doubt, I think that he's going to be enough of a force in this game that he will, ultimately lead to a Jazz victory. Because when I started watching clips of that last game, and like the Jazz were up, and then the Clippers just kind of hung on at the very, very end for the win. I don't think they're going to have that same kind of resistance against the Jazz this time.
I just feel like in a Game 7 like this, and it's back to Los Angeles, isn't it? They got the tiebreaker for home court advantage, didn't they? I believe they did. So it's back in Los Angeles for Game 7. It's a really experienced. I know they're a team that are very, very capable of just absolutely collapsing, but they're a far more experienced team than the Jazz. This is the first Game 7 a lot of these guys will ever have played. They're playing it away. They're going to be playing against the demon version of Chris Paul. I have to pick the Clippers, even though I'm switching because I picked the Jazz to win the series, but I'm switching because of that to the Clippers. If it is the Clippers in the next round against the Warriors, then that's going to be a sweep, because they just have a real psychological disadvantage against the Warriors because of how, is it 12 games in a row or something like that they've lost to the Warriors?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the other thing with playing against the Warriors, it might not be the same in playoffs, but certainly during the regular season, when the Clippers are playing against the Warriors at home, it's about 40% of the fans in that arena are Golden State fans.
Well, this is the scary thing. It seems like that whole western side, especially the lower half of the west there. When I was in Phoenix, I would say about 50%, if not 60% of the fans were all Golden State fans in Phoenix.
Even in
which
Phoenix?
Is pretty scary. the fans were booing when Booker and that scored, and you're like,
that's crazy.
What?
In
That
Phoenix?
doesn't make any
Shit, man.
So, well, he obviously did feel like shit because he came out and then had a stormer against OKC. He's like, "This is my feckin' town.
Yeah.
I'll take this on."
Yeah, it's crazy.
So,
but I think that the place where that is at its worst is against the Clippers because of the geography.
yeah,
So that's going to be a sweep. If it's the Jazz, then I don't know. Maybe it depends on Rudy Gobert, doesn't it? If Rudy Gobert can come
really
back
does.
and have,
I mean,
they've only got one good game in them, and in the absolute best case though, where they might catch the Warriors coasting.
off guard.
Yeah, coasting a little bit with their size. Even that is a real stretch. I think it's very likely to be a sweep either way. But of the two teams, the Jazz I think are more likely to get a win.
Yeah, I done a prediction if it was Clippers and if it was Jazz, and I kind of agreed with you for Clippers, and I went 4-1 for Golden State against the Jazz. So
yeah,
we both pretty much agree on that because we don't see any of these two teams causing much of a kind of hindrance for Golden State actually getting to the conference finals.
Yeah, that and even that one for the Jazz, I'm so not confident in it. I think the most likely outcome is that come the Western Conference Finals, Golden State are going to be 8-0.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think they're going to test quite a lot more in the conference finals.
Yeah.
Realistically.
And we'll speak about
even
that
if
when
they
it comes. Yeah. Because
Even if they do go
we think
against
it'll be the Rockets.
I think it's going to be a really good matchup. Golden State against Rockets.
That'll be fun to debate. We'll see if we get there, but I'll look forward to coming back and speaking about that if it happens. But I'll take Clippers in Game 7 and a sweep of the Warriors. A sweep of the Clippers by the Warriors in the second round. All right, so we'll wrap up there. Thanks very much for your time, buddy.
Thanks so much for having me.
Enjoy tomorrow night's Game 7 and the first game of the Wizards and the Celtics. I don't know how the timings work out. Does Game 7 start early? Because Sunday games usually start early.
I think is it not the same? Is it the same-ish time or something like that? Let's just double check.
Yeah.
It is 6 p.m. for Wizards against Celtics, and then 8:30 for Clippers game.
That's nice. I'll be watching both of them. Okay, but you enjoy that, buddy, and I'll catch up with you really, really soon.
Yep.
All right.
See you later.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks very much for listening to us, guys. Please let us know what you think and get in this debate with us by liking, commenting, retweeting or sharing us to give us a piece of your mind. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and WordPress, and we want to hear from you. Thank you very much for the support.